All right, so I have brought in my vector into a poster format in Photoshop that is larger than 16 by 20. It could be 16 by 20 by 350, right? And then I have my sketch here. Now it's time to bring in my spot illustration. Because before I can do color variation of the lettering, I want to know what kind of colors are going to be in the poster. So I open up assignment 5, and I'm going to find my most finished PNG. And I might have multiples, right? I have that one which has kind of a really strong glow. And then the difference between this one, I think it was up here I could tell, and this one, yeah, this has more grain in it that I liked, the kind of dissolve. So, which one is which? It's this one that I want to bring in. And then there's this one, which I think I actually turned in, which doesn't have any of that. It's just straight duotone, right? So you might have various ones you want to use. I'm going to try using this one. And then there is this one. Oh, that has it with the offset. So I actually might bring this one in because that's my final PNG, so labeled. And it has a nice offset around it to work on a colored background. So then I bring that in. I can scale it up because it will come in as a smart object, right? Just like when we added our creature to our landscape. And I can make it fit my poster format. And then I can bring it above my type because I want the lettering to go behind my illustration. Great. So now I have kind of a mock-up for my poster, but I still don't know what colors to make it because I don't have a background. So the next thing I need to do is make a background. And so on top of my background layer, I'm going to make a new layer. And I am going to change the canvas size back to 16 by 20. It's going to kind of crop this down. And you see how tight that is. So instead, I am going to use my crop tool, and I'm going to set the ratio of my crop to 16 inches by 20 inches. And that will show me that aspect ratio, and I can decide what kind of space do I want for that. So maybe something like this. So then I crop it. So this is not going to be my full poster. This is going to be the printable size of my poster. And then what will get added to this after is a border. So a nice trick is now I can bring guides down to the corners. So this shows me what my poster will be. This is cropped to a 16 by 20 ratio. So while I have both my black type and my spot illustration as smart objects, I can go to image size and I can change this to 16 and it will automatically be 16 by 20. And it's off by such a small fraction, by 0.001, that I'm just going to force it. And I'm going to set it to 350 pixels per inch. This is me being very, very particular. So 16 by 20 by 350. That's what we want our posters to be, ideally. If they need to be 300, that's fine. So now you can see I have still the original borders behind it, but I want something a little bit different. So I need to fill it with a background. And when I look at my inspiration, I see these different posters, kind of this Art Deco inspired. You can see the border, you can see the background. A lot of them will use gradients. So I'm going to show you how we can do a gradient fill. But this one just has kind of a flat color fill. So let's just do it from basic to more complicated. I liked this one in particular because it has kind of the school colors. In fact, I might even bring that in as something to steal color from, like we did for our spot illustrations. But now I'm coloring the background instead. So, create a new layer, and I'm going to use my paint bucket, and then I'm going to hold down Option and steal this background color. Really garish, and then just drop it in. Okay, now, inspired by this, maybe I want to pick a different color and try dropping that in. Or maybe one in between. Okay. Or I could try the dark blue. Or I could try the cream color. Right? There's all these options. Flat color isn't going to give me the kind of pizzazz I want, right? So, actually the orange could be interesting. So what I'm going to do is pick one that I think is interesting. We'll do the green as a flat. But on top of that, I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to use a new tool that's underneath the paint bucket tool, or with the paint bucket tool. It's called the gradient tool. We've used this as a layer style before, but by using it directly as a tool, it gives us a little bit more control. And we can set the gradient here. We have lots of options for different types of gradients. So blues, purples, pinks. This one's pretty interesting. And then you just click and drag. And you can change the angle. You can change how strong it is, right? And I'm going to do something like this. So what you see is a gradient layer now on top of this flat color layer, just like we've done before in layer styles. I'm going to rasterize it. And then I'm going to fade it in. I'm going to take its opacity down. And when I go to about 50%, I want these two to kind of cancel each other out, right? So now it's kind of green to blue. It's very muted. Less than that, more of the green comes through. More than that, then the pinks and purples come through. The other way I can do it is to set it to dissolve mode, so I get that texture. And I can blend it that way. And I like that. I like that subtle shift from warms and the school color green to the school color blue, but it has this kind of dappled construction paper texture throughout. And that's all just created by me, pixels made by me, just having a fill color and then a gradient that I set to dissolve at a lower opacity on top. So if that's what I'm thinking of for my background, now I can add a border. But what if I look at my inspirations, there's often a lot more going on in these backgrounds than just a gradient. So another option for your background is you can composite in. So if I do Google Images and I look for Art Deco pattern images, just like we did texture fills before. Ooh, that's really cool. This is really cool. What kind of fits my theme and isn't too distracting? This is beautiful. I don't even need them as clean vectors or as high resolution. This is only 200 by 200 pixels, right? But if I copy it, bring it into Photoshop as a texture overlay, not Illustrator, Photoshop, paste it in, transform it, grow it to fill, stretch it to fill, hit return, right? You can see how blurry it is, but the way I want to use it is as a texture overlay. So I want to play with its overlay with my textured background. You see? And then I can set it, double that up, then I can merge those together, set it to dissolve, nope, set it to, what did I use? Screen, I think, that I liked. Right. Maybe grow it a little bit. And this is why we studied compositing first in the class, so we can use all those skills to kind of perfect what we're trying to do when we're putting things together. Okay, now I'm going to take its opacity down. Let that be nice and subtle in the background. And then I choose, do I like it better with that or without it? And I definitely like it better with it. Right? It kind of suggests a sunrise, the Art Deco quality, gets me to pay attention to the illustration. But your background should definitely be a third read. Okay, now I'm going to take all of those background components. I have 3 of them now. I have a solid fill, a gradient fill that's set to dissolve at a lower opacity, and then a texture fill that I composited in. And I'm going to put them all into a layer group. And I do that so that I can duplicate it and then merge those together. Because sometimes you just don't want so many options. So now that's all in one place, one layer. I do that also so I can crop it and make sure that that background is cropped tight to the 16 by 20. Now I'm going to add more space around it to give myself a border. So I'm going to go to canvas size, and I'm going to add an inch to each side. So it's going to be 17 by 21 inches. And then I'm going to take my white fill background and fill it again so it goes to those edges. Then I can get rid of my guides, and I can see what my poster looks like with just black type. Make sense? Now, black type might be what you want for your finished poster, but you are required in the assignment to make a color variation on your type. So everything I just did was to understand how to make a color variation. Color variations exist for a type all the time. So when you look at kind of a comic book, it will always have the same title flag, like Spider-Man, right? Or Popeye. But then over months and months of that same title flag being used, they'll change its color, they'll change its drop shadow, they'll change its size, but it will always be the same shape. So just like logos can have color variations, type design can. So now that I kind of know what my background is, I'm going to make a duplicate of my black type layer. I'm going to mark my original as green and not mess with it. And now I'm going to double click and play with layer styles, starting with color overlay, to play with possible type design, right? And when I select colors, I can steal them from the color selector, or I can steal them from my image. Like that purple is pretty nice that you can find in the eye. Now, what else can I do? Just like I was showing you with the background, I can also fill it with a gradient. And that gradient I can choose. And I actually like this gradient quite a bit. It's just a nice warm yellow, kind of golden gradient. It just happens to be the one I most recently used. And if I change the angle of it a little bit, change the scale of it a little bit, remember I can customize it too. I can reverse it. But I like that kind of sunrise imagery. I can also add a color to it. Just make it more subtle. Something brighter. It's kind of in between. Say okay.